Good day viewers, thank you for having you once again in another explosive package of Secure Your Wealth. Today I want to quickly draw our attention to some crucial details on the check. We all know that aside cash and direct bank transfer to our accounts, check is also an alternative means through which you can get settlement for goods and services we render to our various customers, clients, and business partners. So that brings me to what is a check. A check is a written, dated, and signed instruction directing a bank to pay you a specific amount of money from the drawer's account to the person or company named on it. That brings me to the key parties of a check. Number one is the drawer. The drawer is the person who issued and signed the check. Number two is the drawee. The drawee is the bank that is going to make that payment possible. Then number three is the payee. The payee is the beneficiary, the person who collects the check and ultimately gets the money written on the check. I want us to know that today many people have been defrauded because they fail to take a very second look at the information on the check, and that's why I'm bringing this up to enlighten us so as to avoid denial or delay when it comes to payment. In my subsequent episode, I'll give us instances about how people were defrauded, but today we are looking at details we need to look at on the check so as not to get frustrated when we collect check from our clients. Number one is the name on the check. We all know that the check can either be addressed in favor of an individual or a company, but in both ways, let us ensure that the name is correctly written without any form of alteration or mistakes. And I want us to know that if the check is written in favor of an individual, at least two names must be on the check, meaning the surname and the first name. However, there are instances where three names can be written on the check, which is still very acceptable. That is the surname, the first name, and the middle name. In any case, either it's two names or three names, so far all the names are correct, then it's fine. And if it is written in a company's name, please ensure that the details and the name of the company is clearly written without any form of omission or mistakes. Another thing we need to point out here is if at any point in time where the drawer is writing the details on the check, if he make mistakes, please let him sign off. So no matter the numbers of mistakes he makes on a single check, let him sign off each of the mistakes. That's when you will not experience any form of delay or denial when it comes to catching the check. Another vital area where we need to look out is the date. There are two key errors or two key issues surrounding date. Number one is post-dated check or stale check. Post-dated check is a check written for future date. For instance, we are in year 2026. If the date on the check is written in year 2027, that's saying that the drawer is giving a direct instruction to the bank not to make payment until year 2027. So please, at any point when we collect check, please don't just let us run off and fail to take a second look at the information on the check. Another area where we need to look at regarding date is a stale check. When we collect check, the check can last a period of 6 months before we present it. But once a check exceeds that 6 months, then it becomes stale. What do I mean? For instance, we're in April year 2026. If the drawer mistakenly write the date as July 2025, that means between July till the current April where we are, the length of time has exceeded 6 months, then that makes the check a stale check, and such check cannot be honored in the bank. So please let us pay very important attention to details regarding date. Another area I want to draw attention is both the amount in words and amount in figure. These two must correspond with each other. That is, the amount in words must tally with the amount in figure. At any point, because we have instances where there could be mistake, where the amount in word does not tally with the amount in figure. Once this happens, then the check will be dishonored, and that's why we need to pay the drawer's attention to it to do the correction. Another area is the drawer's signature on the check. If all the information on the check is okay and correct, but the drawer failed to sign on the check, then of course this check will never be honored, because it has not given the bank an instruction to pay you. So let us ensure that when we collect check, we ensure that the names on the check, if in favor of an individual, the names are correct, and if it is for an organization or a company, then the names are also correct. Let us ensure that the date is fine, it is not post-dated, or it's not a stale check. Amount in words, amount in figure must tally, and also let us ensure that the drawer append his signature. Another vital information before I round it off is the amount on the check. We all know that in Nigeria, as a policy, that the amount we can collect from another person's account must not exceed 100,000. I'm not saying you cannot collect a check more than 100,000. However, once the amount on a particular check exceeds 100,000, that means you can only pay in that check into your own account. So once the amount drops into your account, then from your account you cannot withdraw the money. So please let us ensure that we look at all these details and see that everything is okay, and if there are areas where there's discrepancies or there's mistake, ensure we sign off and tell the drawer to correct each of the mistakes. Then it now still depends. If you are collecting cash, ensure you have a valid ID card, meaning an international passport, a voter's card, or your NIN or your driver's license, because these are one of the major ID card you can use to collect money. Then at times they can also verify you with your BVN, but more importantly, when we take check, ensure that the details that I've mentioned are taken into consideration, so that if at any point there are mistakes, we can correct it, because it's usually very painful when we collect check without looking at it properly, and when we get to the bank we are denied payment. We look frustrated and rejected. So as to avoid all these things, it's pertinent we take a second look at all these details, and everything will be fine. Thank you for your time. Secure your fund, secure your wealth. Thank you.